family on, which is
Hey.
really cool. So Eli, my brother-in-law, and his wife, you're my sister-in-law, right? We just say that?
That's
Yeah.
what I say.
Mallory. So Eli and Mallory Bush, they're on. And super excited because this is a cool topic that we don't really get to talk about too often. And also just exciting to have you guys on because you guys are cool. And we could probably talk for hours about any topic.
That's true.
Especially if it has to deal with like Thai stuff.
True.
Yeah.
Especially Eli. He can do that. Yeah.
Yeah,
We could.
Eli's good at that.
Okay.
Where'd you serve again?
I went to Argentina.
That's
yeah.
right, in Argentina. So,
I didn't really have any ghost stories from there. So.
Yeah, no ghost stories in Seattle either. And apparently, and no ghost stories in the Middle East, like none.
Oh,
But
really?
some of my friends that like responded to being interested in paranormal stuff on Facebook were Arabs. I was just like, oh, so I guess maybe because they live here in the U.S. they adopted the idea of it. But they do actually have they call them genies, or in like anglicized
Like
genies.
Aladdin?
No,
Genie
but it's a
guy? Okay.
derived form of
Just
that.
out of curiosity.
But they're like the ghost or the spirits that they're not like former humans. They're just spirit things that kind of cause trouble or can help depending on the situation.
Kind of scary.
So it's kind of,
Well, if they cause trouble, it's
yeah,
like...
it is kind of scary, huh? So, all right. Well, welcome again. Glad to have you guys on. I wanted to start it off with a ghost story. It's not very long though, so don't expect it to be very long. And then actually we have a special guest, our producer Lauren, who's going to share one of her stories after this. Okay, so this is a story. Again, it's very short, so I might share a second one. This is here how it goes. I was at a slumber party in 8th grade with a few of my friends when they decided, stupidly, to have a seance in her unfinished basement.
Why? It's like how every horror movie starts.
There are a lot of those here in Utah, too. We were having fun and giggling as we were. Girl time, you know.
Wait, is this your story?
No.
Oh. Scott did girl talk.
No, we definitely did not. With all my brothers, yeah. Giggling as we were trying to figure out who to summon when someone suggested Jack the Ripper, a serial killer from the late 1800s, in case you didn't know. And I immediately got a pit in my stomach. Nope, I spoke up. We shouldn't summon something evil. What's the point of doing a seance if you don't do something evil?
True.
At least the point of the story.
What about Casper the Friendly Ghost? Though?
Yeah.
We could ask him to visit.
Then, Casper would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Then, that's right, called a man's voice from the other side of the cellar. There was no boys or men. We were home alone. Another girl and myself heard it. She says, I'll never be the same. Abby. Darn you, Abby.
Oh, Abby.
Yeah. Okay, one more, because it's a little bit. That one was really short. Okay, this one says, my family. So this is one. You talked international. This is going to be one in France. My family traveled to the south of France to stay in a cottage owned by someone my dad worked with. The owners visited occasionally, but that summer it was free, and we had 10 days booked in there. After a long 2 days on the road, we drove down a steep driveway towards a secluded mill cottage, with the water wheel sat static alongside the stone house. There was a deep cellar with stone stairs down under the wheel next to the house, and a small river circled the place. I don't think a river can circle. I guess it could. Yeah, you'd have to have a bridge to get over it. Okay.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
We went into the house and chose rooms, but being set down in a small copse, C-O-P-S-E, copse. Anyway, some French thing. The house was draught and cold from lack of use. We settled in and turned all of the heating on, yet the house remained cold and felt damp. The first night, we had set a fire in the living room and listened to a couple of audiobooks before my sister and I went to sleep. My parents stayed up a little longer, then went to bed. Around midnight, they both woke up at exactly the same time, and the door to their bedroom was opening slowly. At first, they thought it was my sister until they saw a large, dark silhouette of a man framed in the doorway, standing stock still, just looking in their direction as if appraising them. After a short period, The shape turned and started to move as if satisfied and disappeared. They looked at each other but didn't speak, and both went back to sleep. I don't know if I'd go back to sleep after that. The
No
next
way,
morning,
I'd leave the house and
yeah.
never come back.
get back in that car. The next morning, stay in like a Motel 6, something that you know that there's a lot, well, not Motel 6. Anyway, the next morning, the house felt warm and dry. The sunlight was back through the windows as if something had lifted and accepted them. They spoke the next day, and both agreed that although they were skeptics, it could not have been anything other than something supernatural in that doorway, deciding their worth.
Deciding their worth. Wow, that's very interesting.
Deciding if it should go inside? I don't know.
It's like, oh, these people are worth it. I'll walk in and scare them.
Yeah, you got to watch out for that.
Yeah.
Because anyway, as a kid, after watching the Batman and the Catwoman one, that freaked the crap out of me. And I would think that the shadow from something coming through the window was the shadow of Batman. For some reason, Batman was bad as a kid. And so I thought
he's scary if you're little.
He was scary.
That was his goal.
Yeah.
That was it. He wanted to strike fear.
I think that's the one where like Robin was in there. So that wasn't really that scary. Mm-hmm. But Catwoman scared the crap out of me as a kid. Like the way that like Phoebe like all of a sudden like jumps and jitters and it's like, oh, nope. You know, like that's what I remember doing. And I remember it was like the first time I went and sat on like someone else's lap that I can remember, like being like, oh, I'm so scared that I went to like other family friends' oldest daughter and was like, please help me.
Oh, like, oh, please hold me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that.
I was probably like 3.
I still do
Just
that.
kidding.
It's okay.
I didn't go to the movie theaters at 3. All right. So if those weren't scary enough, Lauren has a scary story. You ready, Lauren?
Yeah.
Okay.
This one's probably going to be really good because, to be honest...
Is this from your mission?
No.
Oh.
Talking to the mic.
Yeah.
Like from Maine.
This is from Maine.
Oh, my gosh.
This is
It's back
very
east.
Ghosts are
and
a huge thing
it
in
actually
Maine.
happened
To you?
to me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm like spoiling it. Everyone's like, just tell the story already.
This is good.
Gosh.
This is a good one.
Oh, you know
I
it?
want to make sure I have all the
Oh.
details.
Well, I'm her brother, so I probably do.
I don't know. You don't know like every detail about each other's lives.
Let me tell you some details, Eli. Did I ever tell you the story about the Connors cabin in the back 40?
I've seen that cabin.
The creepy cabin.
Yes, I've seen that cabin. It is creepy.
Connor Creepy Cabin. Never good when there's 3 letters.
3 C's. That means you would get 3 in categories.
It's triple right there.
Okay, so I feel like I have to sit. Can I lower this, Scott?
Yeah.
Okay. How?
Yeah, I never knew how to do that. Inquire whenever they asked us. I was like, yeah, I don't know how.
Okay.
I would just break it.
Mallori broke every mic stand.
Never got a solo after. Never brought me back.
Okay, so the Connors are a good family friend of ours back in Maine, and they lived on a farm. So when you looked out their house, the back window in their kitchen, you would see their pasture where their cows and animals would be. And so it was clear, and it was separated by an electric fence. And then after that, you had some woods that you could walk through. And then there's another clearing. And there we would have like campouts and stuff back there. Totally fine, totally safe. They had like their own little cabin that they had built that we would stay in and play in and all good stuff. But if you kept going past this meadow pasture, so you have the house, pasture, woods, there's another clearing. And so my friend and I, Allison, we're walking. She's like, hey, let's go check out this cabin. And because they had found some like antique glass the last time they went. And so we're like, okay, we'll go. I was already kind of creeped out, and I'm super creeped out by like walking in the woods by myself. Like,
How wouldn't you be? It's never a good place.
yeah,
I mean,
heck,
except for Joseph
no.
Smith. That was one good time in the woods.
The devil still appeared to him, but
That's true. That's true.
anyway, so I'm already kind of like, I don't know about this, because without adults it was anyway, but Allison's strong and not scared. So I was like, okay, let's go do this. Let's go look and find some antique glass. There's like antique jars. Anyway, she showed me what they had found before. She's like, let's go back and see if there's any more. So we go, and she's telling me about this cabin on the way. And it turns out that it was this old like hunting cabin where they would go hunting. They knew where this cabin was. They would spend the night or a couple of days, wait for snow to stop, and then they would keep going for their whatever. That's all I know about hunting. And so we're walking, and it's starting to get dark, but not quite. So we walk up to this cabin, and it's like totally broken down and like just super creepy. I have this really creepy feeling, and I can't tell if it's me being like, let's get out of here, or like this is something is okay. I couldn't tell what it was. So we go in, and it's we like open the door slowly, and you can see inside there is this glass, there is a bunch of stuff, and all of a sudden
No! That was the whole story, was just Haley scaring us. I didn't even see your car outside.
That was good. I'm impressed.
That actually really got me because I was going to grab Eli's leg and scare him.
I saw something in the corner of my eyes like, that looks like Haley behind us.
So this wasn't even a story. That was
no,
just...
it was. That's a true story.
Okay.
This
True
is true.
story. So we go, it's creepy. We book it all the way home. And the other part of this story is it's a classic girls camp story that I tell, and I scream right when Haley scared you. Is usually when I scream, the girls like die and some pee their pants, and so
I actually might have a little. I'm
my
not.
pants are probably brown.
He wore
now,
the
so-
brown pants.
He's the smart one. He wore the brown pants.
I can't wait to see that.
That's good.
Wait, did you film it?
She got that view.
She got it.
And I'm pretty sure that one got us.
Pretty sure. Don't forget to tag me, please. Okay.
That really was good though.
I was getting like scared talking about my story, and I was like, when's Haley going to come out? Because I don't have very many details left.
Wait, was that the end of the story? You just walked in?
So end of the story, we walk in, we like look around, and I'm totally freaked out. Did you ever go and see it?
No, but I remember you talking about it, and then I saw it one time when we went back there, but we didn't go to it.
Yeah, so you have to walk pretty far back into the woods, and there's like a trail to it, but not really. You just kind of stumble onto it. And there is stuff in there, like someone had once lived there and used it as a hunting blah blah whatever. And so anyway, we looked in, got freaked out, and ran as fast as we could back.
The end.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
And then try not to get electrocuted by the fence as you like
Wait,
crawl
there was
under
an
it
electric fence too?
around their house. Yeah,
For all
we
the
would like
animals.
either roll under it, or you could like unhook it at part of it.
That's still scary. What happens when it rains though?
I don't know.
Like if you got close, could you? I don't know how electricity works in that sense. So sorry if anyone's watching and does and is like, you're an idiot. That's not how it works.
To tell you the truth,
But-
I've been
I don't know.
I've been shocked by it. Haley's been shocked by it. Haley got shocked by it when, how old were you? You were little. Haley was really little, and it was her wrists. Do you remember that?
Well, of all
And she was like
places-
kind of stuck against it. And I remember someone grabbed you. I can't remember who it was. Anyway, it's like pretty powerful. So we would always try to like get our friends to back up into it and like shock their bums.
That's so mean.
Yeah.
You got
So-
a bum shock.
You got a shock to your bum bum. That's what Phoebe would say. Anyway, so there you go. There's my scary story.
That was very good.
That was good.
That was
Hey,
a 10.
thanks.
That was a 10 out of 10 right there. All three of those were a 10 out of 10.
I do have another scary story from my mission.
Is this where is Jake here too and also in the closet?
No, he's not in the closet. You can
Okay.
check the closet. Jake's in Tucson, Arizona. So,
Is he really? Oh. Hello, Jake.
so in Korea, I don't remember the name for these, but they would have like demon spirits. And I remember going to this lady's house. She was a member, and she was talking about her mission and how one time her companion saw one of these like demon, like the Asian demons have like the long dark hair, and they like,
Is it kind of like The Ring?
I've never
Girl?
seen it.
Never seen
Have
it.
you seen The
but she
Grudge?
has- yeah. Okay, that's the one I meant to say.
Kind of
Yes,
like that.
one.
And so she said one night, her companion saw it, and it scared her so much that she thought she saw it too. And so they like closed their eyes really tight and like prayed that it would go away. And they said that they opened their eyes and it was still there. And so they closed their eyes and they just like kept them closed until morning, and it was gone. after that story, I wasn't necessarily freaked out or thought they were real, but I was like, I guess this is like a thing that could happen. I don't know if it really happened or if it was a figment of my imagination, but we're walking in the dark. I'm thinking about this story and my companion's talking about this story. And it was kind of like an alleyway. So one side was like a river and this other side was the back of buildings. And I looked over my shoulder and I saw there's not.
I know, but
I've looked over my shoulder now 3 times in this story.
little do we know, Jake is under the table. Actually, grab your foot.
And I just remember looking over my shoulder and seeing this person, like not an adult and not a child, crouched in the grass and looking away really quickly and being like, don't look again, don't look again. But I remember it vividly that it like super freaked me out. So I don't know if I really saw something or if I was like shadows. It was probably a fire hydrant, but
That's terrifying though,
Still
because your brain
scary.
can still like trick you.
Right?
So honestly, you're like, was that? Because I definitely have moments, not that I've like see things, but where I'm like, was that a dream or did that actually happen? Because sometimes I feel like my dreams are kind of real
oh yeah,
and reflect things that I did like the same day or whatever.
for sure.
And it freaks me out because I'm like, was that a dream? And then I have to like go back and be like, oh, that wasn't real.
Yeah.
Yeah, freaky. Don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like ghost things. Weird demon.
Except for Casper the ghost. We actually talked about that on the way here. He's the only good ghost.
Oh, he is.
With Lizzie McGuire, or Hilary Duff is actually in that one, in the first one.
Oh, is she?
Or no, she's in one of them. I know.
What?
And she's like friends with him, and it's like Casper, and I think she wants to become a witch, but like witch and ghosts are not friends. Witches and ghosts. Yeah, I swear she is in it. She wears like a red outfit. She looks pretty much like Little Red Riding Hood in the show.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like Hilary Duff.
Oh, this is not related, but they are going to do Lizzie McGuire too.
Yeah,
really
the
a ghost,
on the
but-
Disney Channel, the new Disney. What is that? Netflix? What is this?
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus.
Disney
Yeah.
Plus. It's gonna be such a good time waster, you guys.
Speaking of like scary Disney shows, I remember watching the Lizzie McGuire Halloween episode when I was little, and it terrified me.
Oh, I don't even remember what
They
it was.
involved like Day of the Dead, and they had little skeletons, and all I remember is I was terrified.
Well,
Granted,
that's-
if I watched it now, I probably wouldn't be as scared.
That's when her parents go on a date and then he comes back because he forgot something, but then he like tries to walk around the house and gets hit in the face with this like block or something and he can't speak.
Eli would remember.
So like he calls inside the house, but they think it's some murderer because he's like,
oh yeah.
Wait, do that one time.
no, he like can't speak and they think
Oh.
it's some weirdo. So that's what happened.
It's Casper meets Wendy.
Oh, okay. I was gonna
But
say.
yeah, you're right.
Wendy,
She
but-
totally looks like Little Red Riding
Yeah.
Hood. Where's my camera? You.
Gosh, it's okay. Don't worry.
They have to know.
You'll just look it up on IMDb or just Google.
Google Casper meets Wendy, and you'll find a hybrid of Little Red Riding Hood, Hilary Duff, and
If you don't know
Casper.
how to Google by this time, it's like, where have you been for the last 20 years?
Not alive. You're a baby right now.
Crewy. You cannot Google.
Okay.
Are you ready to come back on, Scott?
Let's do it.
That was good. That was good.
That Haley definitely got me.
Good job.
Well, I will say that's probably penance for last time I scared Haley. We were in
Did
the
she hit you?
house. I went down. Yes, I went down the stairs, and my older brother's room was like right around the corner from the stairs, so you could kind of hide in like the portal of the door, and no one would see you. Like if you went and turned left out, like go out the door, no one would see you. So I kind of hid behind his door. She came around and went the other way. I was like, perfect. This is my time. So I went out and I scared her, and she, no joke, like swung and like hit me in the face.
Really?
She swung back, like boom, like slapped me across the face. It was good.
Gotcha,
it was,
good.
It was worth it, but it was worth it because I scared her so bad.
Was it worth it? Was the scare worth coming?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Nice.
think
That
it
was
was.
good.
Okay. Well, let's move on. I told you before we got on the air that I'd interview you for a job.
Okay.
This job is the Ghostbusters.
Dun-dun.
Yes.
Wait, that's
Okay.
not it. What is it?
Da-da.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So here's the interview questions from the actual movie.
Oh,
Okay. That we're going to ask you. Okay. Do you believe in UFOs?
Yes. That's.
I don't know.
Do you want the job or not?
Sure. Yeah.
Just kidding. No, okay. No, serious responses. Do you believe in UFOs?
No. All those like photos.
Like alien form?
Like aliens? Not necessarily
Like
aliens, but like other people, yeah.
But like the UFO is extraterrestrial.
Oh, so like they have a way to get here? Yeah, probably. Yeah. Okay, so yes.
You think that's
yeah.
Okay. So
not
aliens
like
have come.
Little like silver disc that basically looks like a frisbee. Not that.
The dishes are okay. Okay. What about you, Eli?
Yes. I believe in life outside of us in the universe.
Okay.
If you would consider that an extraterrestrial or a UFO.
Do you think it's possible that they have visited us?
Yes.
Have they visited us?
I don't.
Choose your words wisely. Your mom might be listening.
I have never seen one myself, so I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Wow.
So I was listening to Joe Rogan, and he brought on an actual jet pilot from the Navy, and I believe it was in the Pacific Ocean. There was reports, hey, other people have been seeing this thing, and so they just kind of kept doing it and keep flying in the same area. And this guy and 5 others, so there's 6 of them, all saw the same thing flying, like not the same way that a jet pilot, like a modern day jet pilot, would do. And they couldn't really make out what it was per se. But anyway, it's so real that even Congress is investigating it. Like they're making a motion to investigate into it further.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Was this recent?
This is recent. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and the fact that like Congress is actually going into it, 1 is laughable, but 2
yeah.
But 2, the fact that like there's all these sightings and all of a sudden why is Congress willing to go into this one? And it's not all of Congress, it's just a few of them have been saying, "Hey, we need to investigate this." Wow. So, kind of interesting. What's the guy's name? Oh gosh, what's his name? The guy that worked at Area 51 and said that he worked on former flying UFOs. Bob
Vance.
No. Vance Refrigeration.
We just watched that episode today.
Anyway, no. Anyway, whatever his name is, he's got some very compelling stuff. The documentary person that made the latest documentary about him, I think he's a liar. I think he's a scammer. I don't see any major reason to have evidence that the actual guy claiming it is scamming us. There's nothing that says sense. No, other than logic of, well, how practical is it that an alien has visited us? So I mean,
maybe they visited and were like, oh, we don't like them.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
Peace out. All right, astral projections. Do you believe in astral projections?
Is that? I mean, the only thing I can think of that if I understand what this is in Sabrina the Teenage Witch, where like you can project yourself somewhere you're not.
Like
is that it?
It's like an out of body experience.
Oh, yeah.
You believe in that?
Yeah, I think that's possible.
Okay.
Yes, I agree. I believe in that.
I thought you were going to say no. You paused for a while, so I was curious as if you were.
So what exactly do you imagine being an out-of-body experience? Because most of the time in today's world, we hear it relating to more of like religions that come out of India or Buddhism. Yeah. And they're not always just Buddhism, but like there's some other ones that are, and I don't know the name of them, but that are a little bit more about like that's what you do on a regular basis versus like Buddhism and Hinduism is a little bit more of like, this is like you've peaked. You know, like you're getting so far into it that so holy or so euphorious that you're able to have out of body experiences. What does it mean to you to have an out of body experience?
Oh, do you want me to go first? Oh, okay.
Yes, I do.
Obviously I've never had one of those, otherwise I would say. I don't know, at least when I've heard other people say or speak of their experiences, most of the time it's like they died momentarily, like died in quotes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's what I think of, and like they're like watching themselves,
like on the operating table,
yeah, something like that. That's the only thing I can think of because I've heard plenty of stories of those. Not that I don't believe them, but I'm always a little skeptical because I don't know. Like I said, like I have dreams that I'm like, oh, I think this is real, but then I come back into it and I'm like, that was a dream. You know?
I think the out of body experience is not so much like something that happens during a dream, but like actual, like you've gone so deep meditation wise that you can actually get out of your body, look at your physical body.
Oh, that's actually kind of freaks me out. I don't know.
Did you never watch Doctor Strange?
I
Does he
have
do
not.
it? I've
Yeah,
never
he
watched
does
one.
it.
Oh.
Yeah, so like
Does-
Doctor Strange, master of the mystic arts, he like part of the movie is like he can like make an astral projection of himself so he can like separate his spirit from his body.
Did we watch that?
I've watched it.
It's really good.
It's really good.
I don't think I've
If
seen
I've
it.
anyone's
never seen
listening
one
that
either.
has,
I don't think
if
I've
anyone
seen it.
listening or in this room hasn't seen it, go watch it. It's really good.
Is it
Strange Marvel?
Yeah.
Cumberbatch?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Maybe
It's
I have
really
seen
good.
it.
But,
His
like-
hands are broken.
But
No, that's
that's
Doctor
Doctor Strange.
Strange is Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, Doctor Strange. For some reason I was thinking. Okay,
Doctor
yeah,
Who?
keep going.
I don't know
Yeah.
that one either, but
So
I just
like
know
one
the
of,
name.
one of his powers is he can separate his body from his
Yes.
spirit basically,
Yeah.
and he can go like in different places and be in different dimensions, and they call
Oh,
that
okay,
an
yes.
astral projection. When I think of astral projection in like real life, I think of kind of a, at least in my experience, sometimes like in that time of meditation or like just sitting and pondering or just like sitting very quietly, you can, I think there kind of comes a point where you have an out of body experience in the sense that you are kind of detached from your physical senses and you kind of are just like in your mind
Yeah.
in a different like thought process instead of just saying I'm just sitting here. You're thinking about like you've separated that.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I had a when I was in Seattle, a older gal. Bye, Haley. Thank you.
Bye.
That was good.
He scared us.
We had an older gal that we went to go visit because she was an inactive member of the church, and she almost immediately began to tell us about her out-of-body experiences. She was very interesting in the sense that she said like at the age 14 she had her first out of body experience and she could actually see herself floating. So she actually believed that it fit with the LDS doctrine to where like she essentially went to the celestial kingdom. Like, okay. So I
I don't
mean
know.
maybe if you have an out of body
Maybe.
experience, why not? You know?
I don't know. I try not to. When people tell me those kind of stories, I try not to say like, "Oh, that's not real." Like that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know. I mean, it could have happened for them. I don't
Yeah.
know. I think God can do that for people.
Yeah.
I think He can visit them or give them like experiences like
Yeah.
that. But I'm never like promoting like, "Hey, Jill did this the other day. Here's her story."
Mm-hmm.
You know. But
Yeah.
I
no.
think that can happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's I think so too. She is definitely not LDS anymore, but at the time she's like, oh, that's how I related it
Oh,
was to
wow.
the teachings of the Latter-day Saint Church of understanding that. In the same area, we actually had it wasn't the same area, but anyway, federal in Kent, Washington. That was a good place. There was a guy that had died and had come back to life.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't necessarily have an out-of-body experience, except while he was dead, he had an experience that told him that he was God. And then he came back, woke up in the morgue. And apparently he's not the only God that is in that form. And so he definitely follows Hinduism.
Okay.
So kind of more
That would make sense.
on that lines, like multiple gods. And but it was like you're a certain special kind of God. Like you are essentially Krishna, like the main God.
Oh, okay.
But you're like his spawns here on earth because you came back to life. He was crazy, and I feel really bad because you could see his son. He was like older, probably mid-50s, really long beard, white. He was Caucasian, and then his son's like in the back room playing video games. He's just like, like tilting his head back, rolling his eyes, kind of like
My crazy dad.
like, oh my
What's that
gosh, he's
feeling?
doing it again. So we could not get out of the house. I don't know what his objective was with us in that house, but we could not get out. All right.
It's crazy though.
Next, mental telepathy, meaning can like mentally transferring information to another person without any of the other senses of the body, like outside of the five senses. So essentially, I could send a message to your brain
Oh.
without saying it. Do you believe in that?
This is my explanation of that belief. I think that if you pray for somebody and we'll say like I hope that they do well at school, I think that you yourself could feel that someone had prayed for you and know that in that sense. But I don't know
But
if in
maybe you
your
don't-
head like you could be like, oh, hear like, oh, Scott just said good luck or something like
Yeah.
that. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know
I
about that.
I hope this surgery
But,
goes well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But maybe you could feel it spiritually,
Yeah.
like as a comforting thing, like peace comes to you because someone helped pray for you. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I could like sit here and have hear Eli's voice in my head. If that makes sense. Like hear him just
Yeah.
talk to me.
Yeah, I don't believe in it. I'll just end there. I don't believe in it. I really
No
can't say
explanation.
enough about it. Be like, this is why I don't believe it. I just don't.
Another friend, actually, and I consider him a friend, my old high school band teacher. He grew up, actually, for those that are LDS know this place, but right outside of Nauvoo, Illinois, which is a very historical place for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so his friend was LDS. And eventually they said that they got to the point to where they could be on opposite sides of a wall. Like, let's say in this room,
Yeah.
you're outside the door, like you're on the stairs that go up. He's like, then they're leaning back to back on the other side of the wall. And then they would pause and say, one person would say, what are you thinking? And then the other person would say it and goes, that's exactly what I'm thinking. But it took time. Like he said that
Whoa.
it took a lot of time and practice for them to kind of be in sync.
It's kind of like twin
that.
telepathy.
I guess so. Yeah.
I'll have to ask my cousins.
Yeah,
They're
you should,
twins.
you should ask them. They'll probably just be like, shut up.
I don't think they have
Yeah,
Facebook though,
yeah.
so they probably are watching this.
But
PG,
anyway,
Quentin?
I was just thought that was so interesting. Part of me thinks that a lot of that is just like you start to get on the same like brain wave of
Yeah.
ideas. You've already gone through it so many times that naturally you're going to talk about this thing. Or it's not like Facebook's like how, secretly Facebook is really listening to us. Let's just face it.
We know.
We know
watched
they're
the
listening to us.
documentary.
There's a documentary about it? Of course there is.
What's it called, Eli?
It's not really about Facebook. It's called The Great Hack.
Oh.
In a
It's
sense,
about Cambridge
about Facebook.
Analytica and like their whole thing
Oh.
with the election and all these people that worked for Cambridge Analytica and their whole story. It's a great watch. It's good.
Yeah.
It does
I think
talk
it's very-
about how Facebook like
It's very informative. It
Gets
talks
your
about like
data,
how
though.
Facebook went into in depth on how Facebook like uses information and like how Cambridge Analytica analyzed it and like what they were using it for and things like that. So it went into depth there, but it was also, you could call it politically charged if you
Yeah.
wanted to. I would say it's politically charged in the sense of
Politically biased.
politically biased, maybe a little bit, and also maybe biased in an economic sense. That like the people making it maybe had some kind of benefit from saying
The documentary producers,
the producer,
Yeah, it
the
was
director
Netflix
probably
made
had
it.
probably had some kind of benefit from saying this is wrong, but like it's a good watch, and I think
Interesting,
people
yeah.
should get their own opinion about it.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. I like that. That's good. Anyway, so that's a different kind of telepathy, I guess. But I just think, just like there's definitely a bunch of videos that prove like the psycho or like medians are faking it. Like if you have your hands, let's say I'm behind a blanket and I've got my two hands sticking through that blanket, I could, in theory, I could predict about 100% of the time what hand person is going to choose on my hand. Like someone's going to come up and they're going to choose my right. No, that to you that would be left, but to my right. And then because I've done it so many times, I know the human nature. I know that the next person is going to pick left. And the next person is going to be like, I'm going to trick them. I'm going to do left. So they kind of have a way of depicting how the human mind is going to work, at least in this scenario, right? In other scenarios. So that's what I think could have happened, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
Probably.
he stood by it pretty firmly that they knew what each other were thinking.
wow.
All right, the next one is ESP, extrasensory perception. So outside of the five, this kind of goes along with the mental telepathy, but because mental telepathy can't happen without ESP. So extrasensory perception. Can you perceive other things? Like, for example, can you perceive a ghost behind you?
Jake. No, just kidding.
That actually would be the best. Too bad we didn't get Jake on. Okay.
I don't know, but this makes me think in my art history class last year, my professor talked about how some people have the ability to see or like hear colors.
It's a real thing.
Is that kind of
It's a-
related on that sense?
That
like
probably
ESP?
could be, yeah.
Because
It's-
I didn't even know that was real. And this girl in my class raised her hand and spoke about it. And I was like, what? She's
Yeah.
like, purple sounds like this. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I had a
I
roommate.
thought it was so funny. I was like, oh.
I had a roommate whose friend could do that. Like he would see numbers.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
said the number, he could like see it, and then there was different colors with it.
That's
So
interesting.
that is very interesting, and I kind of wish I had that. I'm
Yeah,
sure it's
I do
annoying,
not.
but I kind of did because then it like really makes you like an X-Man. You know, like you get to have these special powers.
X-Men.
Um,
Is that DC? Marvel? I don't know.
no, I
That's
think
Marvel.
Sorry, I don't know.
It's okay.
Sorry, everybody
it's okay.
who knows and is like, you're an idiot.
It's
'Cause you
okay.
didn't know.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, what about you, Eli?
This is just my opinion. I would call ESP, I would call it discernment. Being able to discern things. Maybe starting with just kind of on a simple note, discerning someone, like how they're feeling. Like it's kind of connected, but it's kind of leaning into it. So how you can discern how someone's feeling based on their actions or based on like body language or things like that. So I would ESP maybe as it relates to discerning, like what you can discern from like sight and then be able to discern things. That's probably not like really ESP.
Yeah.
But I would call ESP more, I would change that word out for probably like discernment, to be able to discern something based on like what you know or what you feel or what you see. So it's kind of like not really even extrasensory. It's like you're using your senses in the sense where like you can, so like for example, so Mallory, I think I know her pretty well. So
Yeah.
I can discern things about her even though she won't say it or she won't do it. Like for example, like
No,
if I'm
I know,
talking
honey.
to her,
I
she
know.
might not say something, but I can discern that she's feeling a certain way because of like
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Or with
I mean, not to say that you guys get in fights, but I mean, if you get like, oh man,
Yeah.
I'm in trouble, you have a pattern. You can discern that
it.
that's going to happen.
You can discern it. It's like I'm able to discern when she appreciates something I did, or like she's able to
That's
discern
good
when
to
she
know.
appreciates something I did. So it's like a connection in the sense of I can discern or understand how she's feeling based on like past actions and then future consequences. To the extrasensory part, no. My short answer would be no in that sense.
So do you think that people are like, I think this ESP would be being able to communicate with spirits.
Oh yeah, I think you can do that.
If someone
But I
said
see it
that,
as like a different
if
version.
someone said they could, I wouldn't say no, that's wrong.
Yeah.
So I think that could and should fall under the ESP definition. I could be wrong, but
Can I give like a quarter of a yes? I don't know if that's valid.
I
well, you
believe-
don't get the job if you say quarter. So
Oh, okay.
I believe
Full
it. I
yes.
believe it. I believe it in a certain sense, but in like the traditional sense when people think of ESP, I would say no. But if you kind of put it under with the umbrella of like that discernment thing, sure, maybe. But but I also wouldn't go up to someone who's like, "You're wrong because you said that's true." Like,
Yeah.
I think everyone's entitled to their own opinion and their own thoughts and their own actions.
yeah,
So if someone said they believed it, like that's good. That's like good on them because that's what they believe and that's
Yeah.
what they decide. But I'm not going to go around and be like that's wrong. Or,
Huh.
like you're wrong. So for
Do
me
you-
personally, no.
do you? Okay. Do you believe that people can see ghosts? Like if you see a ghost, is that a special gift?
No.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Yeah, actually, I believe there are spirits and we can see them sometimes.
Okay.
What do you mean by ghost? Because we were talking about this earlier too. To me, ghost has like a different connotation in the sense that means like a creepy figure that is coming here to hurt me. That is my first thought. Or like
You've watched too many horror
some
movies.
freaky. Yes, I have. That's for sure. But for me, like when I think of like, yeah, people can see. I'd rather say spirits just because, yeah, I definitely think people can see like.
Can you see spirits?
You can see dead people like that.
By the way, that movie, I watched that movie by myself. I think I was 10,
Well, that's terrifying as a
and
10-year-old.
no one was home. I was left at home alone, and I watched it in the middle of the night. So freaked out. I mean, I'd never been more freaked out in my life, other than watching The Grudge and The Ring. those two
See,
movies.
I've never seen them. I've only seen the covers. I like in the sense of like only the DVD cover. So that's how I knew the girl's face when Lauren was talking about it.
Yeah,
But
it's pretty freaky. We should watch
scary.
it.
We can watch it.
We should watch it right after
Do you wanna
this
watch
when
it on
you're supposed to
Halloween?
watch.
I can't.
We're gonna be gone.
We can watch it tomorrow night. Where are you going to tomorrow night?
We're leaving tomorrow morning.
Darn it. Okay. Just kidding.
We should watch it though. That would be actually great because Eli will scream like a little girl
I would scream like a little girl. Where were we? I screamed like a little girl.
in the Tesla.
Yes, I did. That's what happened.
But that wasn't like a scared
also,
scream.
we
That was
went
rather
to-
an excited
we went
scream.
to a corn maze and we were doing a haunted like those corn mazes that are like those scary
Uh-huh,
corn
yeah.
mazes.
Don't do
and
it.
I'm like, okay.
Where people hop out.
Yeah, people hop out like, okay, jump scare. Those are fine. And I was like, oh, we got to the end of the maze. No, you go into this like haunted house. It was creepy. Like I thought we were done, so my body was kind of like I was just kind of like done with it. Like
Yeah.
okay, we're done. No, we
Yeah.
walked into this like a haunted house, and it was a whole nother like hour. Of just
I was
walking
leading
around.
the
I was-
entire group. It was me. We got separated from my sister and her friends, so it was me and Eli and my parents. And everyone's like, "You go first," and I was like, "Why me?"
I'm not ashamed to say that she did go first.
I was the youngest out of everybody.
You'd be the person that Ellen DeGeneres would put on.
See, I would
Yeah.
totally be good if Ellen was like, "I'll take you through a haunted house." I would be like, "Let's go right now."
That would be pretty fun.
Like
Yeah.
Ellen.
She'd probably
all
give
for
you a
it.
free car or something like that too.
Probably.
I would. I'd be like, "Let's go, Ellen."
Okay. All right.
the scares.
Next one. Let's see if you pass or get the job. Clairvoyance. Do you believe in clairvoyance? Clairvoyance is the supposed faculty of perceiving things or events in the future or beyond normal sensory contact. For example, she stared at the card as if she could contact its writer by clairvoyance.
In that sense, no. But I do think people can see the future.
Yeah. Prophets.
Yeah,
Prophetess.
for sure.
Sis.
I believe we could be warned of the future. I
Yeah.
actually have a story. This is good. This
Do
isn't
it.
really scary,
Is it
but
scary?
it's kind. No, it's
No.
not scary. But
It's okay. We're
talking
seeing
about,
if
like-
you're going to be a real
talking
Ghostbuster
about
here.
like
Do it.
clairvoyance and thinking about like seeing the future, you can kind of like feel things. So when I served my mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I was in Thailand. I had a new missionary with me. It was his first transfer, like his first 6 weeks, and we were training. We were going to English class. So every Tuesday we taught English.
Uh-huh.
That was basically our write off to the government saying like, hey, we're here as teachers as well as ministers.
And you
So-
were.
yeah, we were.
You were
We were
legit.
te-
legit teachers.
We were legit teachers and we had like papers to prove it and everything.
Yeah.
So the church we were at, it was like this, the English word, rented building.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't think I actually couldn't think of the English word. So we
Yeah.
crossed the street. It was on a 3-lane highway. So there's a 3-lane highway, median, another 3 lanes, and then a store. So we went to the huge store. It's basically like a Costco, and bought some food because usually we give treats to people after English class. So we're walking across. So we're in the first 3 lanes. We cross the first 2. I look both ways, and we get to the third one, and I had this feeling I need to stop my companion. He was like 1 step ahead of me, like 1 step. And I was like, I need to grab him. Like, I need to do something. So I had his arm. I had his left arm. And this motorcycle comes out of nowhere. No lights, nothing.
Uh-huh.
He was actually drunk. He was a drunk driver on
Thought
his
you meant
motor.
your companion
No, on his
first.
motorcycle. Not my companion. Not my companion.
He was
The-
drunk from teaching.
The guy on a motorcycle came. He came out. He was probably going 45 or 50 on his motorcycle.
which is definitely enough to do damage.
Definitely
to a
enough to
person.
do damage, and he hit my companion. And I had this feeling, well, I can either let him go and let him fly through the air, hold on to his arm, and possibly dislocate it. So I let it go. And he flew through the air. But that when you were talking about clairvoyance, I believe that we can, if we are in imminent danger or if there's a problem,
Uh-huh.
that there can be feelings of, hey, like, you need to do something, like
And
Yeah.
in the eldest doctrine, we'd say that's the
Yeah.
that's like
spirit,
the spirit is what
warning
call it.
you or giving you a prompting.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what you'd call it.
So, but in Ghostbuster terms, clairvoyance.
Yeah,
Because you can't say the
clairvoyance.
spirit because that's like every single one that's in our machine down in the basement.
That's true.
So,
Right, it's true.
I mean, we'll introduce you to them later. All right, if you pass. Okay, I like that. Clairvoyance is a very interesting aspect of things. So, sorry, I have to keep going back. All right, spirit photography.
No.
So all the photos that we saw last week, which you didn't see because you haven't seen.
Oh,
last
because
week's.
I know the worst.
It's okay. It's
I
okay.
haven't watched.
Do I believe that like you could take pictures of
and then
spirits?
you could get a glimpse of the spirit
People have done it, so
or the
I'd say
ghost.
people have
I
done
don't
it.
know.
So I'd say sure, yeah.
You don't think it's like Photoshop?
I think
or,
it's clickbait.
I think
That's what I
especially
think.
I think especially back in the day, like when, because I feel like no one watches cable TV, at least the younger generation. So
We do. We have cable at our new apartment.
nice. Don't do it.
It's actually
It's free. That's why.
I know.
Otherwise,
just don't do
Netflix
it.
is the way.
Netflix and Disney
Streaming
Plus
anything.
is
True.
the way.
Mhm.
No, you can do it. We had cable for a little while, and it was actually it was like nostalgic, like channel surfing in the middle of
Yeah.
the night.
I never see
Next.
commercials anymore, so
Next.
it's weird.
Next. I actually stayed to watch the commercials on the channel
It's weird.
because I wanted to be like, oh, this is childhood.
When
Anyway.
we got to commercials at our house, our mom would make us like clean for a minute and then come back to the show.
That's true.
Your mom would.
Well, that
It's
wasn't at my
true.
house, but we did that too.
Yeah. I love it. All right, so I think in like those shows like Disney Channel or History Channel or something like that has like these Discovery Channel, they kind of have these kind of shows like the ghost shows or the UFO shows. I think a lot of that is made up because they need content.
Yeah,
they need
for
something
sure.
to make it. Now last week Emily Clark had some creepy photos that
Oh, I was like, who's
the
Emily
guest
Clark?
from
I
last
remember.
week.
Okay.
The guest from last week, she had some creepy photos that definitely brought on the element of this might be real. Because I do believe a lot of them are photoshopped. I do believe a lot of them are faked. I do believe a lot of them, like I do definitely, sorry, Mom, the dust, like the orbs is just dust. I really think it's just dust. No matter what angle you're looking at, I think it's just dust. But a lot of people think the orbs are real spirits. And so, and I say sorry, Mom, because she believes that to an extent. I'm sure she knows, like, okay, some of it's got to be dust, but some of it's got to be
She's
ghosts.
probably watching this and like, Scott.
Yeah. Well, she's going to listen at least. She listens to the audio. She's like the one person that listens on the audio. Just kidding. We do have a good amount of followers. By the way, if you guys like it, make sure you give us a 5-star review on the audio. We definitely need that. Okay. So, but I think if we can get the ghosts, maybe there's a way that digitally old film style can pick up some things as well as EVP. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Maybe.
Next thing, telekinetic movement. Do you believe in telekinetic movement? That means like moving things with your mind.
Like the Force.
The Force.
No,
I would agree with my wife
I
and say
don't.
no.
I don't think so. Nah.
You guys are crazy.
I know. I would if
Just
we were
kidding.
in Star Wars. Yeah, I think it'd be cool because there's a lot of times when I don't want to pick things up.
So there's the people that are on the TV shows that claim to be able to do it, and a lot of it's because they're blowing the pages with their wind, they're blowing it. Same with like a spoon, bending a spoon. They're really
Yeah.
just bending, or they're moving it with their fingers, and they have a coin at the top, so it looks like it's the tip of the fork, but really it's just a coin, and then it just bends. They're not bending the spoon, but they're just moving it at an angle, so it looks like it's being bent. So I think there's a lot of fake people out there when it comes to especially telekinetic. I agree. Dang it. I guess I'm not a Ghostbuster. Okay. Full trance mediums. Full trance meaning like you're in the zone, like you're almost there, like you're there with the spirit.
Does that mean like you're in the spirit's world?
I don't know. Or you're able to connect with the ghosts fully here. Like, for example, like they can have like a one-on-one, like a conversation going back and forth. It's not just like, oh, I feel like this is what he's saying. I'm talking to him. Kind of like Ghost, the movie Ghost. Have you seen that?
Yep.
I have not, but I will say yes to
Okay,
this
there's
question.
a really awkward scene in it.
It's the pottery scene.
Yeah.
Remind me to tell you something about that scene after that I don't want to see in the
Okay.
this,
So,
but
oh, you don't want to share on the podcast? Okay.
only because it has to do with one of my teachers in high school. Not that she would be watching this, but I know like she'd like I shared this in public.
So here's a definition from First Spiritual Temple. It's trance mediumship or channeling, like so many other forms of spirit communication, is very much misunderstood. In recent years, a number of mediums have called themselves trance channels, when in fact they were not working in a genuine trance condition. This has been a source of great confusion for many people. When spirit links with a wind spirit, not the spirit, but when spirit links with a medium, the spirit communicator exerts various degrees of control or overshadows the consciousness of the medium to a greater or lesser degree. This varies depending upon the intent and conditions of communication, as well as the ability of the medium to lend himself or herself to be overshadowed or controlled. So, kind of like that scene in The Ghost, the pottery scene. Are you willing to let your body be taken over by the spirit, or are you willing to just be like, I'm going to communicate back and forth? Okay. How much of it? I mean, it also reminds me of the movie Heart and Soul, old movie. It's got Robert Downey Jr. in it. It's before he got in trouble with drugs, and which was good. It's good that he got in trouble because now he's a better person. But he was in it. And it's these spirits that got stuck with him that all died the night that he was born.
Oh, that's
and so they got stuck with him until, anyway, it's a long story. It's a good movie though. But the spirits get to go into his body and act. There's 5 of them, 4 or 5, and they all have way different personalities. So all of a sudden he's changing into different things.
It's kind of like being schizophrenic. I feel like that's
yeah.
What that
So
movie
is this real? Can you do that? Can you channel the spirits? And I think we go, oh, channeling is, I'm speaking with them, but then can you do it so much that the spirit can take over your body?
Yeah.
How so?
I don't know how to do it because I would never want that to happen because that just freaks me out. But, oh yeah, for sure. Because there are evil things in this world. Mm-hmm. You totally could, you know.
Well, like the example of the pigs.
Yeah, in the Bible.
In the Bible, right? Yeah. In the New Testament.
For sure.
Jesus casts out all the devils and they go into the pigs instead.
Yeah.
All right, so is that channeling? I actually feel like that's a little bit different.
It's rather like
possession.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I guess sometimes you can be like, ask. I don't know. Like,
well, I guess the Ouija boards. I mean, I will never do a Ouija board.
I did one.
Mom, don't You've done it?
I did one. Okay.
All right, finally someone that's done it before.
This was.
So you're channeling something here, by the way. That's the point of the Ouija board, is to channel a spirit.
So this was at my friend Taylor's house, and my friend Vinny was there too, if they're watching this. I think this is really funny there. I'll tag them in this afterward so they listen to this because I totally remember. So she thought her house was haunted. I'd never done a Ouija board before because obviously my parents were like, this is evil, like devil, whatever.
Yeah, very Satan, strong in the Elvis culture to not do it.
So I don't know, I was a freshman in high school. I was like, oh, let's try it. I'd never seen one before in real life. So we did it, but obviously I didn't believe it was real because I was moving the thing. Like, we'd ask questions and I would knowingly move it. You know,
so
on
you
purpose.
were the one that would do things.
Yeah.
You know, in the horror movies, you're the first to die, right?
Yeah. Because I'm the person who moves it to like, yes. And it goes like to some evil thing or whatever.
Because you ruined it. You ruined it for them.
Yes, I do think you can summon a spirit and have it do that. And I did do the Ouija board, but I didn't think it was real because I knew that I was moving it on purpose to scare Taylor.
Yeah. I think in most cases, the Ouija board, if not all, to be honest, is someone actually moving it.
Yeah.
It's not like Are You Afraid of the Dark? Do you ever watch on Nickelodeon? Oh, man, that's so scary. There's like at least one episode, I think there's 2, where they have a Ouija board, but it moves by itself.
Have you, Eli?
What?
Done a Ouija board?
No.
I feel like your mom would be really mad if you did.
Would she be mad?
No.
No, she'd be upset. No, not upset. No.
She would be like, Eli, why did you do that?
Yeah, she wouldn't be mad.
Not like mad, but be like...
She'd be concerned. I think
yeah.
She'd be like, are you okay?
Yeah, I think she'd be like, do you need to...
Mad's not the word to describe it, but she'd be like, what?
I think you need some help. But do you believe in it? Can you channel a spirit?
I believe people can.
Should you? No.
That's the next question. Should you?
No.
Sure, I'd believe it. Not very wholeheartedly as my wife does.
Wait.
You said yes, like emphatically. I would say yes with an asterisk.
Well, because not that I believe every like freaky horror movie where people's bodies getting taken over, but that has to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
You know? Also, totally random, but in one of my religion classes at BYU, they actually talk about a story of the first miracle that was performed in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was that they actually cast a devil out of this guy's body in Ohio. I might not have been Ohio, but I don't know where.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I was like, yes, it's real. Because of that.
Because someone's body can be possessed.
Yeah, but I don't know if he like called for the spirit to like get him. Why would you want to? I don't know.
So here's an interesting experience. There is an LDS, a Latter-day Saint medium. I don't know if he gets paid or not. My aunts actually consider themselves to be a form of a medium too. I can talk about that after this. But this guy, so tragically, a friend of mine and family friend, her husband died very suddenly, car accident on Valentine's Day. And they were married about a year, maybe a little bit more. And so very, very tragic. I mean, at the funeral, like as they're pulling out the casket, putting it into, I mean, it's just
pulling
packed,
it out. That would be even worse.
Well, she's just bawling her eyes out. I mean, it's just so tragic. So for about a good handful of years, she just couldn't move on. And so story goes is that they got this medium guy, and her and her sisters are there, and my sister-in-law who used to live with the family was there, and this guy's like speaking for her deceased husband, and he's saying, you got to move on because I can't do what I got to do on this other side of the veil without you being taken care of. And so like as LDS doctrine, you're like, okay, cool, that's cool, but then like part of me just, man, is this guy just full of it, and is he just making it up?
It sounds very generic.
Yeah, it's kind of generic, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure if we talk to the individuals that were there, like, oh, there's something said that he couldn't have known.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's the thing that I remember from the retelling of the story to me. And I just remember thinking, that's probably true. I mean, at least, again, going with LDS doctrine, that this guy, her husband, who he is sealed to, can't really do the work that he needs to do on the other side without her being like comforted enough to where she can move on. Which I can happily say she's married, has a kid.
Oh wow!
So she has moved on, but I mean, it was so hard for her to finally do it. And this medium came in and just said, "Here you go." I think they did pay him at least a little bit. I don't know. I'll have to clarify.
I
later,
think
but
I would if my sibling or I don't know anyone in my family was really really sad and they believed in mediums.
Yeah,
I would be like, heck yeah, I'll pay you. Even like if they didn't have like the powers, I guess they say they possess.
Yeah.
I would do it so that they would feel better. That means you can move on.
Yep, absolutely. I think right, and that's the other thing too, that a lot of like non-believers of religion or of a deity is that this is purely something to make you feel better about yourself or to feel better about the situation. So, oh gosh. Okay, I won't go into my aunts. They're great. One aunt believes that she can see spirits. The other one can talk to spirits. So I'll just say that. And my dad has asked my aunt to speak to a certain family member. And I was like, oh, so we're still doing this. But I mean, I believe it. I think there's a lot of truth in the ability. Okay, so the next one, Loch Ness Monster. Is it real?
No. I've seen all the pictures now.
No.
Yeah, I don't think Loch Ness Monster was ever real. I think now, granted, records have gone as far back as 1400s. So I mean, it's not like something we made up because of dinosaurs. Which, by the way, a lot of people think that the Loch Ness was invented because all of a sudden we were finding dinosaur bones, and we're finding all these. We were, putting together the bones and figuring out their shapes. So logically, here's a sauropod or something like that. whatever the kind of dinosaur that it's like looks like. Here it is. It's in the Loch Ness. Loch, by the way, means lake.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So Loch Ness. So that's it's. By the way, I've been there, and I did not go in the water because I did not want to be eaten by Loch Ness, because that's like one of my fears in my life is to not be eaten by Loch Ness, but a fear in my life is to be is like what's under the water, and the water over there
Valid
is so
fear.
dark that you can't see anything because it's a dark place. It's a dark and gloomy place, but it's beautiful. Don't get me, and the people are great. And haggis is freaking amazing. Actually, I really really like haggis. They always give it to you in like small amounts. Like, no. I just want the plate of haggis. Please. I love sheep intestines. Just kidding. I mean, that's what it is.
Wow.
It's sheep intestines.
I did not know
it's like
that.
it's sheep organs grounded up, basically.
See, I probably could have eaten it, but now that I know that it's that,
But they put like spices on it, so it tastes good.
they'd have to not tell me. The moment that I hear it's an intestine.
Yeah. So
I can't eat it.
So the Loch Ness, I think it's partly a tourist trap. I mean, if you go to Scotland and you're up in the Highlands, you got to go to Loch Ness just to be like, hey, I was here. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's like you get so close to Area 51, and it's like you might as well go to the gate of Area 51. Might as well. So
A kid from my mission actually went to that one event they had.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was there.
Storm Area 51?
Yeah, he said they just talked to the guard and that was it.
Yeah,
They were really afraid.
Who?
The government and the guards were really afraid that a lot of people were gonna show up.
Yeah, because humans are idiots.
But I was like, no one. My thought was the whole time, no one's gonna actually do this. I thought exactly what happened. Like 10, 15 people will go. The rest of everybody else will just watch them go. Like me.
Yeah, I mean,
And not actually
that's true. I
attend.
mean, the other thing too is a lot of the media was there.
Yeah.
Which like doubled the amount of people.
That's true.
So it wasn't really a whole lot. And I think a lot of people said that they were going because it was like, what, 2 million people were said
Yeah.
that were going. I think it's just to be like, I'm going. Click.
Yeah, just click
Yeah.
on a Facebook event.
All
We
right.
do that.
Mallory, did you say that you believed in Loch Ness?
I said no.
No. Eli?
No.
No, that's right. Okay. So there's a new theory. Oh, hey, my sister-in-law that was there for that channeling
Did she just comment
just
on this?
just got on. She's watching right now. Anyway, we'll have to ask her later about the
Let me see.
details of that. But
Sometimes I like to look at what people comment during this.
I don't know if do we have any comments, Lauren? No. Yeah, no comments. Sometimes we get them.
Comment, people.
Yeah, comment. We want to hear your questions and maybe a scary story or scary experience that you have. Okay, so the recent study is that Loch Ness is eels, which kind of makes sense. Giant eels.
Like a giant eel?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
like a giant eel. Not that big to be, like
Yeah,
20 feet.
Right.
But eels, and he did a bunch of DNA tests. But I mean, if you're another DNA specialist, a lot of DNA specialists go, that was a terrible analysis. So you can only do so much. I think, and it's a huge lake, huge loch. Sorry, it's a huge loch. It's very skinny and it's very very long. It's skinny to where you can see across it, but if you're looking down it, you can't see the end of it.
That's crazy.
So it's beautiful though. And there's this Inverary, or there's a castle, Lockhart is the castle that's right on the base of it, and it's been destroyed. But the remnants are still there, and they made like a museum. Anyway,
Wow.
it's really cool. But that's where like I went down to the edge of the water. I'm like, I am not going in that water. Nope,
I wouldn't
not
have
doing
either.
it. Not doing it. Okay, and last but not least, the theory of Atlantis. Do you believe in Atlanta?
No. I want to live in that golden city in Mexico,
El Dorado?
El Dorado, only because who doesn't want a bunch of gold for free? But
So
obviously
I mean,
not.
El Dorado could have been real to an extent, where
Yeah,
it was. I mean,
mean-
there's some theories out there that it was that there was so much gold that the people had gold, so it was like a
Yeah.
normal decoration in the house,
Mhm.
and so there are stories out there in certain areas, and then of course the conquistadors came in and took it and melted it,
Yeah.
and I forget where it is. I think, but there's a church that's just the inside is basically made out of gold.
That's crazy.
But it's from all the gold that they've conquered. So it's like, is this the El Dorado gold?
Oh, it might be.
It might be.
I don't know.
History is really funny because
Yeah.
even like, I mean, you look at what's happened 20 years ago and people still get it wrong. Even
That's
though it's
true.
like factually, you were alive during this and you still got it wrong.
I know. I think that's funny.
So it's like, you really, really don't know. History gets rewritten quite a bit.
People don't read
Yeah. So is Atlantis
thing.
real?
the movie.
Come on.
Yes.
The job is on the line here,
Yeah.
guys.
Okay. For this job, yes.
For the job, it's real. Okay.
I'm going to say no.
You don't think
Not for the job, Eli?
a utopia society, a ringed city, there's multiple rings of it, that people, and between the rings was water, that people lived on.
No.
And no.
Nope.
Dang.
Nope.
All right. Well, it's just you and me, Mallory.
What's
Just
up?
All right.
two.
Venkman is anyway, he's gonna be excited for you. So there's no real evidence of it, but you guys, have you seen like the eye of the Sahara Desert?
I don't think so.
I forget, it's somewhere in Mauritania, but it's like in the like outskirts. Like you go out there and it's just like maybe a few tribal people, but supposedly, and this guy went actually out there. So if you look at it on Google Maps, actually, Lauren, can you maybe pull it up?
The Sahara, the Eye of the Sahara?
Eye of Sahara, or do like Atlantis in the Sahara Desert, so that way people that are watching can see it. But and just pull it up, and then you could do like the screen share where it has us in the bottom, but the screen's
I didn't
on
know
here.
you could do that on
Yeah.
Facebook Live. Wow,
Yeah. So
technology.
there it is. Yeah, pull that up. So make that real big. So just do like Control Plus. There you go. So this is somewhere in Mauritania. It's like super far east Mauritania, and it looks like the layers of it is what Atlantis would have been like.
That's kind of cool.
Because it's a desert, that technically means that there was once water here, right?
Yeah.
And so, and near it, you could see like where the water like has come out. Like if you Google map it, right? And so, wrong one. Yeah, hold on.
It kind of looks like Inception. There's like a bunch of tiny pictures. If you see that. The first thing I think of with Atlantis is the movie.
Okay, so
That's
the
my
idea
first
is that this is evidence of what could have been Atlantis, and then there's tons of things that say, that if you look at the description of that, it was southwest of Greece.
Wow.
This is exactly where it is, and so there's a whole bunch of other evidence of other people that talked about how the south of them that the Mediterranean was essentially more than what it currently is. And so, and that would fit if Africa was more of a Mediterranean. Now, I don't think so, because we're pretty good about knowing how long ago water was on this place.
Yeah.
But then again, we've been wrong before as humans.
That's true.
And so we only know so much, but I actually don't think this is Atlantis. As cool as it looks, I don't think it's the actual place. So, but or if it's even real, I think it could have been something that was made up to look good, or a utopia type society, because that's what it was supposed to be. Now there's obviously way more to Atlantis, but we won't get into that. So Janine, their secretary, asked those questions to Winston. Winston, do you know his last name? I didn't know it. I'm only looking at it
Sinclair.
right now. No.
So I would just guessed.
Bishop.
No, Winston Zeddemore.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna guess.
Yeah,
that.
no idea. Everyone else went by their last names except for Winston.
That's
So,
interesting. I didn't
all
know
right.
that either.
So this is his response. He goes, if there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe anything you say.
That's valid
That's how he got his job.
at this moment in my life.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh yeah. So I definitely, I think you guys are close, but Eli, I don't think you got it.
That's okay. You probably need someone more qualified.
Wait, if it's like Luigi's Mansion, though, total Ghostbuster, because that game is so fun.
That is pretty fun.
I don't know if you ever played that on the GameCube, but it is
I have.
the best.
It is pretty good. It's
You
very
know,
good.
It's so
Okay.
fun.
Well, Eli, you said that you had some stories about international ghosts, and
Sure.
do you want to share one, and then
Go
why don't you
Eli.
share your best one, and then we'll end it there.
The best one?
Or do you have like two good ones?
I have like a couple good ones. There's like, so when I served my mission in Thailand, I think it was just a lot of the culture that it kind of intertwined, like having spirits, because like, so they believed when their ancestors died that they were still there and they would still take care of them. Like the people still take care of them. So there are these little shrines, and they leave food out for their ancestors. Like basically these little, imagine, I say this in like the nicest way I can. Imagine like a birdhouse, but a very ornate structure that looks like a home. I mean that in the sense that you can understand it. I have the utmost respect.
It's like a tiny house?
No, it's Imagine
Can you
like
go in it?
No.
Oh,
Imagine
okay.
like a 2 foot by 2 foot.
It's like a doghouse.
It's like a doghouse, but it's not really that. I mean it in the utmost respect because it's like really hard to describe because they're so unique, and every home has a different one. Like they're not the same. Every home is a different one in the sense they're all like yeah, exactly like that.
Why don't you share that? Yeah.
Yeah, so so you can see it. It's a very ornate piece. So a lot of them are.
What is it called?
It's yeah, it's like a
Thai spirit house.
in Thai you call it like a
Say it in Thai.
like a ban pi is like a ghost home, but that's not really what it is. It's more like a place where like their ancestors will stay and they bring food out to their ancestors, and like that's part of their religious practices, religious beliefs, religious practices. But there's also a lot of different things. Some are a little more interesting. So there's something that's called they call it gumang tong, which in English that means golden child or golden boy. Guman is a boy, like a young boy, like a baby boy, and they call it guman tong. So the story, how it goes anciently. Mothers, if their children died before birth, if their sons died before birth, they would.
Is it only sons, or is it
well, they have some for women, but it's
okay.
mostly
Just out of curiosity.
they have some for girls, but it's called guman tong. It's really what it is, like mostly for like unborn baby boys. So if the mother died before childbirth, this might get a little grisly. They would actually take the baby out of her and plate it in gold.
Oh wow!
And enshrine the spirit. So they could call the spirit through this guman tong, this golden boy. So some people call it golden boy kind of like flippantly. So the rest of the story, that's the kind of the history of it. So that's what golden boy comes from. Some of them, so most of them just look like little statues of little boys.
Here, make those bigger. Don't just show a whole bunch. Just show like choose one.
Oh, you looked up the golden boy?
I just typed in Thai.
Oh gosh,
Here,
how
so
is that not a horror
Lauren,
movie
pick that
yet?
top one. Go
Well,
go up to the top.
Not to be
No. Go all the way up. That
see.
one right there.
Yeah, it's actually a very good representation.
Why don't you share that one?
Yeah, well, Lauren's that's a very good representation of what you would see in people's homes. So what they would do is they'd have these statues for their unborn sons or sons that died very young. So when I was in an area in Bangkok, there was our ward mission leader, kind of like our representative for like the area, and who would help us out with stuff. What happened was he had a brother that died very young. So his mom had a guman tong, basically just a statue that Lauren just showed.
His mom died?
No, so his mom.
So the mom doesn't have to die.
No, the mom doesn't have to die. That was the history of it.
Okay.
That's the history of it, and that's what happened. So
it's like a miscarriage, basically.
a miscarriage, or if like the baby died before birth, they would get it out of her anyway.
That's a miscarriage.
That's a
That is a miscarriage, but I meant like
Yeah.
she didn't have to die. So
it wasn't like a stillbirth.
But now it's more just like if you had a son that died really young, then they have these statues.
So
for
like
him.
1 or 2.
1 or 2 or 3. So he had a brother that died very young. So his mother had a statue representing his brother.
It's actually him?
Did it actually take the body, or it's just
No,
a statue?
Oh.
It's just a statue. It's just
So they don't encase the body
No,
anymore.
they don't actually.
That's what I thought
That was very, in my understanding, that was very ancient. They don't do that anymore, and they only do that like souvenir wise, or like representations in a Buddhist temple. They don't do that anymore.
Okay.
So just so you don't freak out.
Well, I mean, that's the point of this podcast, is to be freaked out.
Wow.
So these gold. So he kind of called it. So like the war mission leader his name was Chili. That was his like American name. He's like, yeah, we have like Golden Boy, and I'm like, what's Golden Boy? He's like, you don't know what that is? So the story goes. So when we would teach his mom wasn't a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. She was never baptized when her son was baptized. So she was never a member of the church. So the elders would go and teach her the lessons, like go teach her stuff, teach her doctrine. And she would come to Chili, her son, and say, the elders, the men that are teaching me, they can't come back. And Chili's like, why not? It's like, well, every time they leave, I just hear Golden Boy. I don't remember his brother's name. All I hear him say is, why are they here? Like, don't give them food. You're supposed to give me food. And all this other stuff, like they shouldn't come back. And
Talks to her.
no. So she really believed it does, and that's kind of the
Nelly,
whole.
your face.
That's the whole thing that like these statues would talk to their mother, and that it was a representation of their like young child.
I would not like obviously if it was my child, if I believed it was my child, but I would like throw it away. If like a creepy doll talked to me, if I had like I would be like bye bye.
You have to understand.
That's cultural, you know.
It's a
But
cultural
like
thing.
it's obviously different, and I don't understand it because
It's a cultural thing, and that's a very big part of the culture is like
Wow.
is respecting the spirits.
Yeah.
So this is one way they respected their like
Wow.
young children that died very young.
Yeah.
So the elders, like the men that were teaching her, like the boys that were teaching her, they are like, we couldn't go there anymore, so we had the sisters, like the women that were there with us, go teach them instead, because we couldn't go because every time we went, we would leave and she would hear this golden boy talk to her. And
So the
say,
women could go, but the men could not.
well, yeah. So another
wow.
thing about this whole practice and belief is that having that like that young child that died, like the only men that the mother could like love besides family was them. So if other men or the males came into the house, golden boy would not like it. Like the spirit.
Oh, so there's like a strong culture, like
there's a strong cultural
other men.
Okay, that makes
it's
sense.
the
it's a
house.
cultural belief of like what would you call it, not unity, it's like faithfulness basically, in the sense like you're faithful to your son, loyalty to, that's good, loyalty to your son. So when other men would come into the house, the spirits would be afraid that their loyalty would be dwindling. So that's what that was. Yeah.
That is crazy. I mean, I get it, right? Culturally, there's even creepier. I wouldn't say if that's necessarily creepy, but if they were embodying the bodies,
yeah,
then
they don't do that anymore, and that's just
That
what
would
I
be
could have
creepy.
that in
that's
my
just like
house.
when I was there. That's just what I understood.
Yeah.
And that's just what I understood.
no, it
from
makes
her.
sense, especially back then.
So
Things were different.
If you really want like a really deep understanding, I would go talk to a Thai person.
Yeah.
Which would be kind of hard here, but like if you have the opportunity to speak to a Thai person about like their culture and like why they believe the things they do, that's definitely a better source.
Yeah.
Because for me, I'm just a third person that saw it and like heard the story.
Yeah.
So to really understand like why they do these things, like why they practice the way they do, why they believe the things they do, just go talk to a Thai person, because it's also very culturally intertwined with them. It's not just a religious thing; it's very culturally intertwined.
Yeah.
Wow. I
Yeah.
didn't know there was so much more to it.
Did you know? And we'll have to come.
Scary.
We'll come back to your second one. We'll end on that. But in Argentina, that there's a wood creature that impregnates.
Oh, yes, I do. I can't remember what the name is, but yes.
It like impregnates the wife while the husband's gone.
Yeah, and then he comes. So if the husband comes back and she's like pregnant, that's the excuse, basically.
Yeah, but they legitimately
Yeah.
believe that that's what
no,
happened.
no joke.
Like even if
Yeah.
they had an affair, this thing still came and impregnated
That's
her.
the reason why.
That's why she got
Granted, as the
pregnant.
husband, I don't know why you'd believe that.
And they're
but
totally
they do
fine
though.
with it. They
yeah,
totally
they're
believe
just
it.
like it is the creature.
Yeah, it's crazy. We should have an episode about just mythological creatures around the world. Okay, all right. Let's hear your second one.
Okay, so this other one's kind of interesting. They call her Grasu, is how you'd say an entire Grasu. I think it's Grasu is how you'd say it. It's kind of grisly. I wouldn't look it up. She's a.
Oh,
so
the picture?
Yeah, it's kind of creepy. Don't do it.
Let me see.
It depends on. It's just kind of.
You have to spell it.
So in English, you'd spell it Krasue. That's how you'd spell it. But in Thai, you'd probably say, I think it's Grasu or Grasu, one of those two. So the story goes, there was a woman, like a very beautiful woman in this village, and she was burned to death. And she was cursed to be forever hungry for blood.
I'm
Oh,
Googling
man.
it.
Hungry for blood, right? So what they tell you is don't leave stuff out at night, especially like animals, or she'll eat them. Like that's the thing. Like don't leave
Is
animals.
this
Like
supposed to be her? Can you see that?
yeah, that is no,
Oh.
but that is terrifying.
It's just a creepy photo of a girl.
No.
Yeah.
I googled scary Thai
No,
woman.
imagine. So the picture, how they depict her. So this is also a thing in Cambodia and Laos and like all the Southeastern Asian countries. They have a version of the story, but what happens is she will eat like she's a normal person, but like, so she's a normal ghost in the day. Like she looks like a normal person, but at night, her head comes off her body.
Oh.
And it's just this floating head that floats around. And she will eat on animals, but she prefers pregnant women. Because she was also pregnant when she was burned.
Ah.
Does she eat like the baby? Is that...
No, she eats them both.
Oh.
So
is there evidence of this?
Evidence of this? I never saw it. And to be honest, before the podcast today, I was kind of looking around, like looking for some interesting stories, and I just read about it. No one would ever talk about it, because when I was a missionary, we never really asked about that, because we were like...
You don't have time for that.
We didn't have time for it, and it was just kind of like, we didn't want to get into things with the members, like, oh, this is totally real, or like other things like that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so they also, what they say is don't leave clothes hanging out, because she'll wipe her face. When she's done eating, she'll wipe her face on the clothes, and there'll be like streaks of blood on the clothes. There's some terrifying.
That's terrifying.
Where was this again? In what part of Thai?
Everywhere in Thailand.
Oh, just
it's like everywhere in Thailand. Like everyone in Thailand believes like, oh, Grasu is like that's Grasu. That's what it is.
So do a lot of people kind of go like believe it like it's Bigfoot?
No.
You know, a lot of people don't really believe in Bigfoot.
I think also a lot of it is to like scare kids into doing certain things. Like we do this because of this.
The boogeyman.
Or like in Germany they have Krampus.
Yeah.
Like the evil version of, you ever heard this evil version of Santa Claus?
Yes.
Like if you're a naughty kid, he'll give you coal. Like if you're really bad, he'll like beat you with a stick kind of thing.
Like Dwight?
Dwight does bring up Krampus.
Yeah. He does
and apparently Krampus also like bites off your thumbs, your fingers.
So I think it's mostly to scare kids into being good. But it's they're just like interesting stories. There was another one, like there were members in my first area that believed like something was going on. Like there were noises. So in Thailand, a lot of the members would kind of just hang out at the church building because that's where all their friends were, and we would just hang out together. So like the missionaries would go and like teach people there, but members would just kind of come and go, and it was just a place to like socialize because there really wasn't a lot of that in Thailand, unless there was a lot of just like drinking, and people like members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints don't want to drink and they don't want to be around it, so they just kind of hang out together and hang out in the church. So they called us one night. We had gone home. They were there a little bit late, and one of the like leadership members was there with a key. So like we left, and they were just kind of hanging out, and they're like, "Elders, we heard something in the chapel." I'm like, "Okay," like we didn't believe them. We didn't believe them. It was just kind of like, "Okay, that's funny," but they were like, "I'm serious. I went up there and saw something." So you go up the stairs, and there's like a huge hallway, and on the left is like where the like chapel is, where we do our Sunday worship and stuff. So they believe in that hallway there was like a ghost like kind of floating around that hallway. But then unrelated, like the next Sunday we went. This is kind of funny actually though. We went in, and there's this like blood stain on the floor.
What?
Like, what the freak is this? So
Is it carpet?
No, it's all tile.
Oh.
Because it's
storms.
Yeah, it's storms and all stuff. Like if carpet got wet, it would get disgusting. So everything is tile. Like there's no carpet except for maybe like in the offices where like the bishop sits and like interviews people, but that's it. So we went in, and there's like this blood stain like on the floor, and then kind of going up the stairs. So there was, but then so what happened was there was a rat. There was a rat flying around. Then a cat got in the building and killed the rat, and it was kind of dragging around. So that's where all the blood came from.
You should have just ended it there and said,
I
never knew.
I should have just ended it there. But that's really what happened. But yeah, ghosts. I think a lot of it for the Thai people is like culturally intertwined.
Yeah, that
and a
makes
lot of
sense.
it's like with that last story I just told. I think it just like kind of scares kids to not misbehave and things like that. But there are there are other stories that are a little creepy. Where like there was this other story. So there was this little girl in one area. This area was, I think it was Udon, like in the east. So like very country, not a lot of people. There's this one like corner where this car was coming around. This girl got hit and she died. But the story goes, you can see her sitting on the fence or sitting on the wall, where like right next to where she died, and she has this like huge smile on her face. But it keeps getting bigger and like going up her face.
Oh.
And it gets like terrifying. So it's a little creepy. If you go to the Buddhist temples, there's some stuff there too. So there's this one. So one area the area was called Kontgen, and there was a huge temple that had all these levels that kind of looked like this pyramid. But outside they had this depiction of Buddha. So in the Bible, there's the story of Jesus like withstanding the temptations of Satan, right? Buddha kind of has the same experience. So his temptation was like there were these women like dancing, like trying to like seduce him, and he wasn't being seduced. And there was like 12 women. So at night, so we would bike by or drive by at night, and people would say if you drive by at night, you'll see the statues dance.
Oh,
Like start moving.
yeah.
And people totally believe that. They're like, Elder, I've seen it happen. I'm like, I've never seen it. We were never out.
Did you
that
go?
late. I've been to that temple, but not at night.
Oh, dang it.
It was a little farther out of town. So to get there, we'd have to take a car. Like it was a 30-minute like car ride. So for a bike at night, like it wasn't very safe. Like we wouldn't go there at night on our bikes.
Yeah.
But like that's people totally believed it. That was totally the thing that like they would dance. Other ones like depictions of Buddha. If you like walked by, the eyes would totally follow you. Like they totally believe that. There was another one. I think that was it. But those are the ones I remember like pretty clearly. Yeah, it was in Konkan. It was like a
the temple.
Khonkean.
Not at all how I thought it would have been
First
spelled.
one right there.
Yeah, Konkan. So if you imagine it, so the temple is like, imagine these huge squares, like huge like open floors, and they kind of create this pyramid. Yeah, so exactly that's
share
it. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and share it.
That's the temple. And they had a bunch of artifacts in there too. So you could go in and like you could walk around, and it was very open, very.
Wow.
They had like a bunch of old artifacts. They had a bunch of skeletons in there from like past monks that were like the heads of the temple that they would keep. But the statue's not in this picture. It's on like the other side, but it's kind of like but it's right next to the highway. So that's kind of on the back side of it. So the highway is kind of right next to it, and the statues, I think it was at this temple, they would all like circle around this depiction of Buddha, and they would dance at night.
Wow.
Yeah, they would dance at night.
Dance with each other, just like each one single.
Does Thailand have like their own version of Halloween, like Day of the Dead?
Yeah. What they do, I don't remember what they call it. It's kind of like a Day of the Dead. What they do though is they have these lotus flower, kind of like boats almost. Not like paper boats. They're like these lotus leaves with lotus flowers, and they light them with candles, and they put them out on the river, and that's how they like signify their ancestors. Another thing they do is it would be like their new year for them, basically, where they like let go of their past habits and stuff like that. And it'd be a huge light festival, and they'd do all the paper
That
lanterns.
sounds cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was stuff like that.
But they no like witches, no ghouls and goblins
No.
or skeletons.
No, not really.
Yeah.
For them, it was really kind of like meh. They didn't really believe in that kind of stuff. Also, because ghosts are kind of the thing there. Beyond that, it's basically like.
I just think a lot of when it comes to spirits, ghosts, is definitely cultural.
Yeah.
Like in the West, we love our ghost stories, and some parts of the East, like that pregnant woman that caught on fire, and then in Japan, I mean, holy crap, they like legitimately believe in, like, if you've seen The Grudge, like a house that I think someone dies in is like forever haunted, and so anyway, it's just enough to make me not want to watch The Grudge ever again. So it's very interesting as culture. Like in the Middle East, like you don't talk about that. At least to me as a foreigner, maybe they do to each other. Maybe they talk about these stories that we won't bother the Americans with it.
Right.
So, but I'm happy to say that Mallory, you got the job. Eli, you can try again.
That's okay.
Things can change. People's experiences change. Maybe you'll see a UFO for yourself.
Maybe it will.
And maybe you'll believe in the Loch Ness and Atlantis. So thanks for coming on, guys. This was really fun.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We'll have to do it again on another topic here soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thanks for all that have watched and listened. Appreciate it. And if you guys like it, subscribe on Facebook. Or like us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram and on YouTube. Follow us on YouTube. So we'd love to have you there. So all of it's at Scott Talks Podcast. All right. Thanks so much.
Shop top, shop it over.